Hello Marvel Heroes fans, my name is Wilfred and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'd like to share with you my findings looking into the cosmic artifact and how is it going to affect you and I. So if you like this sort of guide, do check out the description of the video below. There are more guides for you to watch. Cosmic artifact is brand new. It dropped from bosses and in the cosmic difficulties. It will come with some new affixes, and this video really talk about what are the affixes to pick, how do you make trade-off. And I would like to also bring into the catalyst crafted affixes because some of these affixes have overlap to it. It helps you to rationalize about some of these affixes should you or should you not take from either system. There will be a brand new kind of crafting within the cosmic artifact. I'm going to cover that as well. Last but not the least, how we should approach the end game with this in mind. Now, as I mentioned, cosmic artifact drop from bosses in a cosmic difficulties, and it has the same max roll. So if you look at the cosmic version and the normal version, the roll could be the same, but it has new affixes as well. You can see the whole list there. Also, the mean roll will be improved. So it's higher chance for you to get a better kind of like artifact, and it's easier for you to roll some nice, decent affixes as well, because the more affixes you have in your artifact, the harder it is to get a decent roll on average, even across all the affixes you have. Looking into all these 8 affixes, I think some are very niche, like signature and ultimate is heroes to heroes. I may not even want them. Whether heroes require more resource or not, depending on very niche kind of heroes. Some can convert this into DPS as well. If you look at attribute, probably this stands out as one of the best I would pick if I want to go for DPS. Otherwise, the defense, dodge, deflect is very attractive as well, because these are huge number. Some heroes are able to convert defense, dodge, and or deflect into damage DPS as well. So sometimes that decision already been taken in that way. Maximum health also an option, whether you want it or not. And also last but not the least, help you to sustain your base alert skill with the lesser primary resource consumption as you do it. So there's a lot of affixes there, a lot of thinking, but I think in this exercise, I'm going to narrow down to a couple of them, the attribute as well as the defense, dodge, and deflect. To decide which of the 3 should I be going for, I perform an analysis onto 3 of my heroes as of today: Angela, Rogue, and Iron Man. All these are defense heroes. So it becomes a little bit different when it comes to gearing for defense, meaning that I stack defense for all these 3 heroes versus I go for the lower stat because of diminishing return. Now, why do I say that? Deflect rating, defense rating, and dodge rating, they have diminishing return before it's converted into a percentage chance. So, if you want to get the most out from your affixes, one school of thought is to go for the lower stat, so as to gain more percentage in the whole entire system. Now, I'm also looking into a worst case scenario versus the on average scenario. The difference between the two is that worst case scenario is thinking about you are unable to dodge, you are unable to deflect, so you have to eat all the damage with the damage reduction, of course. On average is that when I take into consideration whereby you are having a chance to dodge, you are having a chance to deflect. Now, how does it really work? When you dodge, say 6% dodge, so out of 100 times you get hit by a mob, 6 times you can evade. Completely, you take no damage, 6 times. If your deflect is 12%, then another 12 hit of them, you would need only to take half the damage rather than the full damage. Then the rest of it that you cannot dodge, cannot deflect, then become a worst case scenario. So on average, usually it looks better. But like I say, average is not good at coping with spike. So if there is some spike damage against you, you cannot rely on chances to dodge, chances to deflect. So it is good for academic kind of study, but in reality, I look in the worst case scenario. Now, how does it really work, and is the numbers correct or not? All these numbers are increased in damage reduction. It's not 7.9% or 8%. How you read this is that if Angela today has 50% damage reduction, another 8% increase in damage reduction means that I gain 4% because it's 8% of 50% instead of 100%. So that's how I do a number. So I would like to draw your attention to the first row here, green versus blue, whether I should stack defense or stack for the lower stat. So immediately you can see that if I go for the lower stat, under the worst case scenario, I'm not really gaining a lot in terms of damage reduction. And if you look at, if I stat all 6k to the lowest stat versus the 6k to my defense, immediately I lost about 6%, around there, about 6% of the potential increase in the damage reduction. But of course, if you look at the on average, meaning to take into consideration of dodge and deflect, then the story is a little bit different. If you look at 6k versus 6k, you actually gain another roughly like 2% or 1.5% against the Angela who is stacking on defense. So after that, I take a look at Rogue and Iron Man as well. The story is very consistent. It tells a story that if I could stack all these affixes, which I have yet to test it in real life, but I presume that you should be able to, then, and if none of this like deflect or dodge or defense is going to affect your DPS, because some hero does change the dodge into DPS, then in most scenario I would suggest go for defense, because defense is very hard to get anyway from the whole entire system, from the gear as well. So go for defense and be merry. So that is the bottom line if you get bored with all this number. All right. So now, why do I want to bring in the catalyst as well? Catalyst in the past is called the costume core. So for those who are a bit confused with the new system and old system, new system is called catalyst, old system is costume core. So you could craft affixes to costume in the past, now it's catalyst. In the system, if I look at the max roll, now why do I pick catalyst versus 2 cosmic artifact? It is because if I use 2 cosmic artifacts, I have the 3000 dodge or deflect versus the dodge or deflect from the catalyst. All right. So immediately you can see that the damage rating and the health and so on the catalyst is better than the cosmic affixes. What it really means is that if you looking at endgame, you probably wouldn't want dodge and deflect at all in your catalyst unless you are too fragile, you can't even farm the cosmic content efficiently, and you need some kind of like mitigation in some sense. But even so, I would suggest using health instead. So for the catalyst, I would say go for the crit damage rating or crit, depending on whether it's summoner or not summoner. Then after that, I say have a second one, health, if you find it a little bit too hard. For the cosmic artifact, I would say, if you find it fragile in the cosmic environment or even Omega environment in the future, then go for defense. Otherwise, go for +2 to attribute. Forget about health. Forget about any other stats that you have. All right. So I think in summary, it becomes very straightforward. +1 attribute is good. 1,500 defense is good. Depends on how much material you can roll. You have either of these two kind of like attribute. You can probably keep it in your cosmic artifact. The rest are just academic kind of discussion. Now, where to find the cosmic artifact? Like I said, any boss in the cosmic difficulties should have it, and they are adding on to some of these new bosses as well. Some of these bosses as well, because in the past these bosses never drop any artifact. So what it really means is that any boss will be a good boss for you to look for the cosmic artifact. Now, the game also dropped something called Cosmic Fragment, very much like Diablo 3 if you think about it, like a death breath, the crafting material. So it's like a consolation prize. Even if the Cosmic Artifact doesn't drop, you could have a material to improve. Well, I wouldn't say improve because it's by random. So, okay, fine. Improve to try to get a better affix from your Cosmic Artifact. There are eight affixes there, so statistically within 8 times you should get what you want. Otherwise, probably within 10 to 12 times. So very fairly suffice to say, this will require a long grind depending on how much of this drop, because you probably need 12 per artifact. You will probably get 48. You need about 48 or 50 fragments just to make sure that your artifacts are of the affixes that you want. Now, how would you like to approach this? I think it all goes back to the approach whether you want to play a lot of alts. In the past, a lot of us love to play many heroes because it is rather easy to progress in gear. Within a couple of weeks, you will probably be able to get to endgame for your brand new hero, and which is great. It's fun. Endgame is where the fun is. Now we are expecting the progression to be slower. At least I do. So in a way, would I want to play all heroes versus maybe I just pick 1 or 2 or 3 main heroes to farm infinity pawn in the Omega difficulties? I probably would go for that approach because there's really no point in getting everybody trying to gear up because it takes too long. Then I would just like to focus on the field and be happy with it. So now how does it going to change the whole gameplay? Because if I'm only gearing for 2 or 3 heroes, I will have a laundry list of artifacts I'm hunting for, cosmic artifact I'm hunting for. If there's a boss wave coming out in a cosmic patrol, if none of the bosses would drop me any of those artifacts that I'm looking for, would I stay or would I not? Because I would probably head over to another terminal to hunt for something that I need while this boss wave is going on. So a possibility is that you could be in Cosmic Patrol, there's a boss wave coming up, and suddenly half the people gone because they are not interested in this particular wave. It dropped nothing. It dropped very niche kind of artifact. Maybe some of this standalone villain like Black Cat or whatnot, no one will do them because if they are not hunting the cosmic artifact for that villain, may as well go out to do a terminal while waiting for a boss wave to do that. So that's my speculation. It may be true, it may be not, but it's only in time to see. And I think it also opened up the need for trading because sometimes if you get the artifact that you do not want, but you are still hunting for an artifact that you want, so what you would do probably is to do trading, trade off with one another to get the thing. For those who like trading, it's good. But for those like myself, I like to self-found gear or just accept donation from my friends, then it's a little bit hard to get into the whole trading because I just hate to go into trading and have to know the market and so on and so forth. But it's an option. Some people love it. Some of the artifacts, I would expect them to be a lot more popular, like Gem of the Curse, because it's a generic artifact. They probably be continue as a common currency moving forward in the trading. That's how I see it. Now, I think in closing, before I wrap up the whole thing, I would just like to share my experience with you, having been with this game for a while, is that it's been a few cycles already I've seen this happening. They will nerf down all the heroes to make you feel weak, so as to create the desire and the aptitude to hunt for gear, because suddenly there's a need, a need to get better gear. And they'll dump some new gear to it. I've seen artifact change from 2 slot to 4 slot. I've seen the introduction of relics and the Euroforge. I've seen the introduction of legendary's weapon. I've also seen the introduction of the unique gear as well, insignia, so on and so forth. Initially, all this gear will drop very little because by the time that you get all this gear, you'll say, I'm done. So Gazillion wouldn't want you to do that. So they'll make it very scarce, maybe. A little bit hard to go after, but you have this desire to go after. And then sooner or later, they will actually make it a lot more widespread, meaning that they commoditize their own new gear to make sure that people have it. And then that is where people start to really play other odds as well, the one that are not your main hero, because it's a lot easier to get some of these artifacts. And then after so on and so forth, it becomes so much that you probably don't really care about it anymore. I mean, if you look at the boss artifact, the boss unique in the past, many people found bosses for the boss unique. But then now with all the, in the past, after that they come up with the chest, come up with the, even more chest, and after that you drop until you don't want anymore. So that's how the game usually go. So I think, don't get hung up or stressed if you don't have all this gear. And, don't get yourself burned out as well trying to hunt for all this gear. That would be my advice to you. But, if you get it, it's happy. It's one of the progression that we are all looking for. All right, so drop me a question anytime and do check out the link at the description of the video for more guides. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.